Welcome, everyone, to the Side Draft Podcast. And this is the second installment of our series, Why Fans Love Their Driver. And the first episode had a lot of positive reviews.
Yes, we got a lot of feedback, when you first asked on the fan page about Brad Keselowski, and we got a lot of good comments and stuff and why I love their drivers, and that was really great. And so unfortunately, we couldn't use all of them, because we've been talking forever, and the ones we used ain't any better than the other ones. They're all really great, but we got a really lot of positive feedback from even after the video was made.
Yeah, even was noticed by Brad Keselowski himself, so we were super stoked by that.
Yes, I was just blown away. It's like, what? Brad, responded back to us, and he was even really touched by the positive come back from Twitter and YouTube and stuff, and he was really touched by that. So that was pretty awesome.
So the next driver up, we have Kyle Larson. So Larson is an upcoming driver. Been in the series for about 5-6 years. He's getting there. He's knocking on the door for some wins. He's had 4 or 5 wins already. None in 2018 yet, but I'm sure it's coming very soon. But he has some very passionate fans. First up, we have Keith. He says, I have watched him race his whole life from Cycleland Speedway, Silver Dollar Speedway, and up and down the dirt tracks on the West Coast. We all knew he was great and would be moving in the ranks of motorsports. What I like most of him is his humbleness. He has not forgotten where he came from. I know he works hard and has his whole racing career. He will be a NASCAR champion sooner than later.
Yes, that is all true. I do believe he's going to win a lot more races. I mean, he's knocking on the door. He's right there with the 3 this year with
Three Kings.
With Kevin Harvick and Kyle Busch and Martin Truex. We saw him chase down Kyle Busch, and almost won that race, and it was an exciting race at Chicagoland. I believe, man, he's a rim rider. He'll ride that thing all the way up to the wall, and he's just really, really talented driver and real amazing. That's real good car control, and I think it goes back to his dirt track days, and he still does some dirt tracking. And so, and he is real humble. He's kind of quiet. He don't really make a lot of noise on the media and stuff. But he's real aggressive when he needs to be.
Yeah. Saw him at Kansas. He almost beat Kevin Harvick, but unfortunately was taken out at Kansas. And then Chicagoland almost beat Kyle Busch. Still finishes second after wrecking. And then at Kentucky, he battled Truex. So he's battled the top 3. He's right there. He's not exactly the best yet, but I think he's getting there. He's getting a lot of momentum, and we'll see where that takes the rest of the season. Possibly a championship, as he said.
Yes, we hadn't really seen a whole lot from the Chevrolets, and he's just leading that whole Chevrolet battle. So
yeah,
that's good for that team.
And Martha says, I noticed how they treat everybody around them, and then how devoted they are to being a racer, how they speak to others, like people who are kind to others. I love Mark Martin until he retired. Then I loved Carl Edwards. They all have similar personalities. I like easygoing people. Kyle Larson is that kind of person to me. Really liking him as long as he races. He will be my driver.
That's real impressive there.
Yeah, really interesting that Kyle Larson's personality to you resembles legends like Mark Martin, Carl Edwards.
Yeah, because they didn't really, get all ill-tempered and stuff and just go off on somebody. They did their talking on the track and say, you going to badmouth me, you going to run me down. I'm going to show you it up in Victory Lane. I just give it to you. So
And Wes says, yeah, what Lisa said. What did Lisa say?
She said he has always been a good driver and gives it 100%.
So that's Larson. I mean, short and sweet. That is Larson. Good driver. We see him give 100% on the top line, high line, puts it in the wall sometimes, and he makes it happen. Gives it. I would edit that and say 110% because Larson does give it more than 100% for sure.
Oh yes, he'll give that car more than what it can handle. You can't ever count him out in any race, and especially the mile and a half. He's come along with that program, and even in my fantasy league and stuff, a lot of times I pick him for them type of races because I know he's going to ride the top, the Dale Jr. line, but he took it a little step further, and he takes it like a few inches closer to the wall. I don't see how he does it without scraping it a few times.
Yeah, you can't up Larson on that unless you're like inside the wall somehow running around because he takes it as high as he can. But Tom says, watched him run sprint cars here in California. You could see the talent even at a young age. So in the Brad episode, we had a lot of people saying like he's from Michigan, he's from their own state. We're seeing that a little bit here with Larson. Saw him, running those short tracks, and I think that really helps the sport get some fans over. Don't typically watch NASCAR, but they do watch like the sprint car races, and see Larson's like, wow, if he races like that in NASCAR, I want to watch that. So, as Kevin Harvick says, the grassroots, we need to help out those short tracks, and Larson does that.
Yes, he goes to a lot of the small tracks due to the sprint cars, and I think he comes to Millbridge sometimes, and he races off at other dirt tracks, and he actually wins there. So, and I think with him going to them kind of tracks, and it brings more people to those race tracks. So it's giving them more revenue, and it's really helping them grow their program. So it's really good to see him, giving back to keeping his roots, and also it's good for the state he's from. Always stand behind him and give him that kind of support. So, like we've seen with Brad, his state always supported him, and so that's good to see them keep up and support their drivers.
And last but not least, we have Susie, who says Kyle has amazing natural talent, a humble nature, an even-tempered disposition, a positive attitude, and genuinely cares about racing and his fans. He's one awesome young man. So, Susie, that is great. Very humbled of Larson. One thing I can point out about your comment here says positive attitude. That reminds me of the Chicagoland race where he was wrecked the last lap. That awesome finish between him and Kyle Busch. He didn't get mad at Kyle Busch. He didn't go out there and try to, be tough out there trying to beat Kyle Busch up. He was like, I loved it. Learned a lot from Kyle Busch from that race. Even saw that at Bristol. A lot of positive comes out of Kyle Larson.
Oh yeah. Even he said in Chicagoland, he said after he bumped Kyle Busch, I was expecting it. I was going to get it. But Rubbins racing, and it was a great finish. And it was really good to him. His interview was even great after that. He went like, oh, he shouldn't have wrecked me and this and that, but no, he went and he said I expected it. He said I bumped him, and he had every right to come back and retaliate. And then he even went and talked to Kyle Busch in Victory Lane. I mean, that shows a lot for Kyle Larson here.
So Kyle Larson shows a lot of sportsmanship, very humble, loves his fans, runs a lot of short track racing. If that's your style, you're looking for a new driver, I think Kyle Larson is your guy. Go follow him on Twitter, and if that's your fan, go buy some merchandise and represent him at the racetrack. And very cool race car driver.
Oh yeah, and he grew up a Jeff Gordon fan. You know, he really loved Jeff Gordon and that who he wanted to be. And then he grew up and he actually got to race him. And I see a lot of good talent in Kyle Larson.
And next week we will be doing a episode about Ryan Blaney, an upcoming superstar in the Cup Series. A lot of fans love him, as we can tell all over Twitter, and we're gonna see why that is, why people love Ryan Blaney. So we'll see you next week when we talk about Blaney.